What's up, cannabis connoisseurs? You are watching The Green Rush. I'm your host, Jessica. And today we have some very special guests. We've got the Pot Brothers at Law. Guys, you want to give yourselves a quick introduction? Thank you so much for being here first and foremost.
Thank you for having us. This is Big Brother of the Pot Brothers at Law, and my brother will do a better intro than me.
I am Marc Wasserman, little brother of the Pot Brothers at Law. His name's Craig, and we are the Pot Brothers at Law.
So, first of all, the Pot Brothers at Law, if you don't know who they are, I mean, there's nothing more... Well, first of all, show your Instagram. What's your Instagram for anybody that wants to check it out?
It's pot_brothers_at_law.
And if you check them out, you're going to see what I'm talking about. I mean, these guys got it all going on. I mean, they figured this shit out, right? So, let me ask you in the first place, how long have you guys been in law?
You've been 33 years for me.
And I'm 24 years.
And of those 33 and 24 years, how long have you guys been in law, in cannabis law?
I've been doing it since I started 1996, criminal defense, representing Prop 215 patients in California who were getting arrested. So I've been doing it my whole career. And my brother, who had been doing all the business and contractual work and corporate counseling, once the business of cannabis started to come out, he started handling that. So,
well, really, for me, it was more so when my son got involved in cannabis, and he wanted to grow for patients. So while Marc was representing people in the cannabis space, we really never did the business of cannabis, and there was ways to stay safe under the old ways, the legacy rules, as a collective or cooperative. And we went to school on it. We learned it in order to defend him should something happen. And sure enough, something happened. He got hit with a couple
many times.
He got hit with a couple felonies a few times.
Wow.
Back in the day, and we were able to defend him and get his cases dismissed, mostly because he shut the fuck up. And so I've been doing it for, God, I can lose track of time.
Long time.
What made you go from what kind of law were you practicing before cannabis?
I was doing criminal defense and family law. And so the criminal defense just lent itself to cannabis because people were getting arrested for it.
Do you still do cases that are not cannabis related?
Yeah, all criminal defense. We do all criminal defense. My brother handles all sorts of corporate acquisitions and mergers and all those things. But we concentrate on cannabis businesses. And because we do both ends of it, I also have to go to court and defend our clients who are still getting arrested even though they have cannabis permits from cities and licenses from the state.
And at this point, I think you guys are really sort of like at the forefront of defending cannabis cases, right? So when you guys walk into court, are they just immediately like, ah, shit, let's just forget it, guys, go home?
I don't know that I'd say that. There are, there's definitely those prosecutors out there who know who we are and know what we do. There are certainly some who don't. I walk into court. Where's my mask? I have an STFU mask that we have, and I walk into court with that, and sometimes we'll get some looks. Here, it's right here.
And we both had both of our vaccinations.
I was just going to actually make a point of that. By the way, for everybody out there in NUGL land watching this right now, just letting y'all know, we are antibodied and vaccinated up, so that's why we are freely sitting here without masks right now.
Yes. And that's the mask, but I wear that into court, and I don't care. I'm unapologetic. I wear my nug in court. I wear it everywhere I go. So
this is kind of snazzy. Is that real nug?
Ross Boss gave this to me. I think that's the name of it. I was at a convention somewhere and said, "Hey, we want to give this to you."
That's amazing. I love it.
Very nice.
I've seen you wear it a lot in a lot of your videos. I'm like, that's dank.
I think it's important to represent, and it's just a plant. I've had bailiffs and clerks when I go to court. Oh, you got that pot? What is that? I mean, it's plant. It's medicine. It's okay.
Right.
Don't freak out.
I'm not going to break it open and smoke it right now.
I wish I could sometimes.
Right. It's kind of like having a bullet on your keychain, and then the TSA takes it away from you. Like, I'm not going to throw it real hard. Like, what are you going to do with this?
It's just dipped in gold.
So why did you actually make the move from into cannabis law in the first place? Like, what was the main motivating factor that really pushed you into it?
That was his son.
That was our son. My son. Our son. My son. My son. His nephew. He on Instagram. It's JCures, CURES, and he has one of the biggest brands in California, West Coast Cure.
And what does he make predominantly?
They're a manufacturer. They make wax, concentrates, flour, pre-rolls. I think they're just getting a line of gummies that's going to be coming out soon.
Oh, very cool. So where can we find him once again?
West Coast Cure. I'm sure you can look on Weed Maps, and you can find them wherever they're sold. You can find wherever they're sold on Weed Maps.
You can also find them on NUGL.com. So if you guys check out NUGL.com, you'll find our interview here. You'll find...
We cut that part.
Yeah. If you check out NUGL.com, you'll find their business profile there, as well as your influencer profile. So if you guys are checking back with us later and you want to check out any articles, by the way, speaking of articles, Marc Wasserman has been writing for NUGL Magazine, which has gone really well. You are an amazing writer, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
Love your articles. Killing it.
I ghostwrite for him.
Yeah, he doesn't even know. I think this is the first he heard about it.
I knew. I've looked. I knew.
Oh, you read it?
I've been
You read
busy.
one? You read one?
I've been super swamped. We do a lot of mergers and acquisitions of cannabis businesses, as well as helping people get their city permit and state license from scratch if they find.
Oh, you actually assist people getting
the
their
actual
licenses.
as well. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and that's a process. We also represent people who actually buy and sell. So I represent some people who buy cannabis license business or purchase one or sell one, and those can be a mess.
Let's talk about that really quick, because I know that a lot of people, I personally get inboxed about getting licenses, and I'm like, that is not my realm, guys. I do not want to lead anybody astray. But let's talk about that really quick. What is the mess going on around getting licensed? Because it just seems like it's damn near impossible. It's almost like who you know instead of a due process.
Yeah, it's some of the cities, it's who you know. There's been a lot of FBI raids on different cities for, pay to play.
People getting busted.
Also, the amount of cities in the state of California that allow cannabis activities right now is less than a third of the cities in the state of California allow cannabis activities. And then the cities that are allowing it, they're coming up with what's called a weighted system of application process, to where instead of just for retail mainly for retail stores, non-retail, cultivation, manufacture, distribution, testing, usually that's not a weighted application. You put in the right paperwork, you find a piece of property in the zone, you're going to get your license. Retail, though, is ridiculous. Retail, you may have to put up $100,000 just to enter into a lottery type of system.
Wow.
Where the application is weighted. And they hire this outside firm to come in and grade. Basically, you're grading the application.
Yeah.
So there's, each section may have 20 points, 10 points, 5 points.
Well, here's a silly question, just on that sidebar tangent. But do I get my $100,000 back if I don't?
Well, in that city, in the city that required $100,000 to file an application, that one you got back whether you won or you lost, whether you got through or you didn't. Some cities, you pay $50,000 and you don't get it back.
Wow. Unreal. Okay, so what is that all about, right? Because if California has decriminalized cannabis, then how are they able to outlaw it and ban it in certain
Because
territories?
in Prop 64, it gave cities and counties local control, which means they had the ability to either pass an ordinance in that city saying we allow it, or pass an ordinance saying we don't allow it, even though it's allowed at a state level. So what happened was, right before Prop 64 passed, cities were afraid they would lose local control, so almost every single city in the state passed an ordinance banning it. And then once the regulations came out, then you had your cities passing ordinances allowing it in line with the state regulations. But that's only a third. So imagine retail. It's almost impossible to get a retail. You have to have so much money and now the last couple applications I saw come out in a few cities, I think Fullerton was one of them, Stanton was another one, where one of the weighted questions was, do you have another retail license? So if you don't have another retail license, you're going to miss out on 20 points.
Okay, but if part of the criteria is to already have a retail license, how does anybody get granted a license?
No, it's
almost like you have to have experience before getting the job. But how do you get the job in the first place?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
And it sucks. When they pass those ordinances, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know who's advising them, but whoever's advising them is on the corporate side, or what we call multi-city operators, where you've got your MedMen type, you got I think Stizzy has stores, I think the Jungle Boys, and they already have stores in multiple cities. Burners, cookies, and it's just really screwing the guy trying to get out of that illegal shop.
So what happens, let's say, in my district, or my territory, or my county, or whatever it is, so I go ahead and I grant license to a territory. Now, can I jurisdict the laws? Can I actually change? Is it once you say yes, it's?
Well, no. What happens is the city or the county itself will pass an ordinance saying these are the rules. This is the application.
But they can make up their
process.
own rules per territory.
Yes, in line with the state regulations. So 99.99% of the time, the city ordinances and the regulations are going to mimic the states. It's really they cut and paste the states and pass an ordinance. Maybe they might tweak it here and there for however they want it. But so that's how the cities have to either people vote on it in the city on an initiative process, or the city council just passes an ordinance.
So the initiative, that's the what we were talking about off air earlier, the California Cannabis Reform Project. That is an initiative that we are working with the Weed for Warriors. They are pushing to reform Prop 64 and make a lot of changes, including what we're talking about here.
Taking away local control.
So the cities can't ban it. So
all they can do is tell you what zone to be in.
So how far along are they in that process?
Not far. I think right now, I think where the process is, they just drafted the initial initiative.
Initial draft, right. And you can go to calcannabisreform.org, calcannabisreform.org. In fact, it just went live today, and you can get information there. It's a basic landing page. You can get more information because eventually the initiative will come out.
Well, first, what they're doing initially, that's why there's no petition for it right now, is they're going to take the draft initiative and go hit up politicians. Weed for Warriors Project, who is spearheading this, is a bunch of vets who need medicine, and there's vast deserts of cannabis up and down the state where they can't get medicine. They can't get their medicine at a reasonable price because of the, what retail stores are forced to sell it at and the taxes involved. So we're helping him spearhead this, and they're going to try to hit up the politicians. And Sean, who's in charge of Weed for Warriors Project, has been in front of Congress in Washington about cannabis issues, and they're going to try to take this initial draft and try to get some type of legislative action up in California to get the legislatures or the politicians to buy into it, to change Prop 64 in line with what we want to do, as opposed to having to get petition, having to get signatures, having to put it on the ballot, and then having to vote for it. So they're trying to do it that first, and if that doesn't prevail, then you're going to see it as an initiative, hoping maybe 2022, but it might not be till 2024.
Now, what is your involvement in the initiative?
We're mouthpiece. I mean, there's legislative.
You're a hell of a mouthpiece. You guys have some serious following.
There's legislative attorneys and people who draft ordinances and legislation. We don't do that. So there's people who have put a lot of time and effort and hard work into putting together a draft. Mm-hmm. But we're here to help them spread the word.
We're here to say, shut the fuck up and sign this. That's what we're going to do.
That is amazing. So I'm hoping that by the time this whole thing happens, hopefully we can kind of, in some way, tack on that more information about the initiative and possibly at least a place that you can go to and sign it. And once that happens, we'll go ahead and put that in NUGL Magazine.
Right?
Yeah, we're hoping we don't
have to sign it because it gets done legislatively. But if it does, that's really where we're going to come in and like my brother
really
said,
push signatures and signature drives and things like that.
Well, that kind of reminds me, off air, we were discussing a little bit the Cannabis Party. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Yeah.
Because, first of all, when you first mentioned the Cannabis Party, I got super stoked. I was like,
Where's the party?
COVID's over. We're going to a Cannabis Party. And then they were like, oh, no, it's actually a party line aside from Republican Democrat. I was like, still very cool, but I was really looking forward to this party.
We'll have a party.
Can you explain what that's all about? Because I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the National Cannabis Party, and you can go to nationalcannabisparty.org to get all the information and check it out. You can change your party affiliation by going to the county registrar's voter office and change your affiliation from Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, Libertarian, to the National Cannabis Party. And the idea behind it's all legitimate. It's been all done and signed, sealed, delivered. And
So we could do this now.
you could do it now. You
Wow.
can change your I've already done it. Several other people I know have done it. Change your party affiliation. And the idea behind this is that 90 million people voted for cannabis the last go around, more than both presidents, or the president and the former. And with that, the idea is putting a party together with people who believe in this plant, and that's the commonality, and being able to go to these senators and congressmen and people that get elected and saying, look, if you're not backing cannabis like your constituents want, because let's face it, all across the country, it's overwhelming that the people want it, but you have these states, and you can start carving them out where the people who are in power are not doing what the
They're
constituents
not in
want.
touch with reality.
At all. They're
Why do we have? I mean, even with this president, why do we have a 78-year-old person when
He's like,
telling
don't
us
even start.
telling us what to do? You know, he still has that high moral fucking bullshit. And I said it from the beginning that he was the worst presidential candidate of all of them on the issue of cannabis, and he's still that way. He's still reefer madness mentality, and it's super maddening. That what we're hoping is though that the House and the Senate, which is both Democratic now. Last year we had the MORE Act and the Safe Harbor Act that was passed at the House of Representatives level, but it didn't go anywhere because the Republicans ran the Senate. Now that we're in charge, the Democrats are in charge of the Senate. Hopefully, if both the House and Senate pass something, Biden's going to be hard pressed to veto it.
So I think I've just now heard about this party from you guys, like literally minutes ago.
5 minutes ago.
But that being said, I can see this going into a direction about health and wellness and against big pharma. Hopefully, we have a little bit more leeway to have some research, like serious research done.
Well, it legitimizes cannabis by having a party that's what its function is. Its main agenda is to right the wrongs of cannabis.
Yeah.
And make sure that the federal legislation, that's the most important thing. The federal legislation, which is coming whenever, but it's coming.
I thought you said never in our lifetime.
No, I said never when McConnell is majority leader. I always
never
said
heard
that was the stipulation.
No.
And he's no longer
I got
there.
some
He's
playback.
minority Mitch now. He still has some power, I guess. But now that it's going to happen. But we don't want it to roll out like it has in California and these other states.
Overregulated,
It's just
overtaxed.
crazy.
They need to stop bringing up money every time we talk about cannabis reform. It's all about tax revenue.
Right.
Like it should be taxed like any. We shouldn't need that to justify.
Should it even be taxed? It's medicine.
I agree. It grows from the goddamn ground.
But
now, if you can grow your own medicine in your backyard, it's like nobody's profiting off of that, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. So grow
Right,
it.
they don't want right, and that's why some of these states don't want that, or they limit it. Right, you can't grow. You can only grow so much.
But isn't that kind of funny too? Because if you put too many restrictions on a personal grow, and you can't grow medicine in your backyard, you can't buy or get licensed easily. If you don't make it available enough, then people are just going to go, screw this. It's easier for me to grow it in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I would think that they would make it easier for people so that you buy from legally instead of backyards.
We're talking bureaucratic idiots.
Yep.
Because they didn't come talk to us. I mean, I'm not an accountant or a CPA or a numbers guy, but right now we have a 15% excise tax on cannabis by the end user. We have a cultivation tax. You have city taxes. So at the end of the day, for a regulated market retail store, you're looking at from wholesale to consumer, almost 40-something% tax.
Jesus.
So you wonder why the illicit market is still booming.
Right.
Major.
Right.
Booming. Because you can go somewhere and probably buy $20, $30 eighth, and that same eighth in a store is going to be $60, $70, $80.
Well, let's talk about that since you've brought it up. Since in the last couple of years, since things have really sort of like lifted a little bit more, what major changes have you seen in cannabis?
Well, I mean, people getting licensed. I mean, and the
No,
big,
I mean actually, like in the quality of the product and the pricing and people's consumption. And has it changed much? Have people's consumption gone up since it's legal? Are there more people trying it?
Yeah, there's more of the older people,
that now that it's normalized.
Right, like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, more of those elderly people are using it and going to they're not going to the illicit places or the legacy places. They're going to the legal shops, and it's more normalized, you know. Even though it's still stigmatized, the uptick in the use by the elderly is something to talk about and be noticed.
So I was actually wondering, what has happened during COVID? Have there been many changes that have happened during COVID since people were really restricted from...
Big change.
Yes.
Deemed essential, which makes you bang your head on the wall even more
Goes from
because
illegal to
it's essential but illegal. No, it's still illegal, right, federally, but it's essential everywhere. So that was
And
one.
they were able to stay open.
Right. That's one of the biggest things that happened because of COVID. Probably one of the best, at least in terms of giving guys like us, and hey, it's essential. What the fuck?
Right.
But it's still, like I said, banging your head against the wall. Why?
The state deems it essential, and all these states deem it essential, and the federal government still has it illegal. They just have their heads up their ass. I mean, it is. They just have their heads so far up their ass they can't see straight.
Well, we got a president who's going to test his administration staff, and if they test positive, and he already fired people. I know that was one of the articles I wrote. I trashed an article that I was writing when that came out that day. I'll never forget that Friday when he fired all those. And so you have that leading the charge, which, you know.
Well, hopefully our legislature can take care of that. I'm hoping.
We got to cross fingers
and overcome his reefer madness mentality that he still has.
Well, we can do it, you know. And what just happened in New York is a good example, because our friends at Happy Monkey, a great organization out in New York that's for the culture and the people, 4 or 5 months back when the bill was coming out, the proposed bill was coming out, the Cannabis Regulation Taxation Act, there were lots of problems with it. It was a dog whistle for the big boys to come in. There was some kind of
no delivery, no homegrown.
Right, no social social consumption, lots of different issues. And these guys screamed to high heaven. We helped. And last week, the new proposed bill came out.
It was signed yesterday, I believe.
It was signed yesterday. Now and they got the social consumption, the home grow, and a lot of things in there that weren't, right? But there's still some issues with it. And one big thing, they changed the name of it. They changed it from the Cannabis Regulation Taxation Act to the Marijuana, with an H, Regulation Taxation Act.
Okay.
That's what it's now called. And me and some others, we are sure they did that shit on purpose. They did it on purpose to keep that negative. That's what it was called back in the 1930s, the Marijuana Tax Act. Maybe it was 1932 or whatever it was. And they used that to bring that negative stigma along with it. And that brings all the stuff back and how they started arresting minorities and all that stuff. And they name it, that's the headline of it. But when you go into the body of it, they talk about cannabis. And cannabis. And so just that's a little dig that they did.
Right.
Because they didn't like that they had to change things. But they changed things, and it's still the beginning, because like we're reminding people, now the board's going to come. And what is it? They're not happy about the fact that Cuomo gets 3 picks, and then I guess there's 2 others that the constituents will have a say in. But then they're going to put all the regulations together. Right, so they have the framework, but
so we're trying to tell them what not to do.
Exactly, and advocates and activists like ourselves and others who are out there are staying on top of it and overseeing and trying to put some oversight so things don't happen in the middle of the night, like we so often see happen in Congress, where they lock the doors at midnight and they're signing bills and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that will shine through and let people see that, look, if you do raise your voice, if you do get involved, we can make change. It might take some time, but we can do it.
So what kind of changes are you guys seeing happening right now that you are actually hopeful about?
Oh, here in California? what the Weed for Warriors is doing, I think we're most hopeful about that, to bring about this change in the problems with 64 that we're still dealing with. So I mean, we'd like to see that. I'd like to see regulations where it tells the guys who are forced to be in the black market, hey, look, do this, make it real simple. Let's help you come over.
Right.
Let's help you just slide right over. There's got to be a way to do it.
Right.
But that's going to mess with big pharma and all those guys who are already
and the big cannabis corporations, the multi-state operators. There's ones not only multi-city, they're multi-state.
Yep.
Come in and and open up shops. They have the big money. They have the big corporations, as opposed to, if you ask me, it's like any other business. If it's in the right zone, like a lot of the trap shops now, they're probably in a zone potentially where it would be allowed. So let's just let them convert over to being allowed and not limit how many there are in a city. Let capitalism triumph. Let people who have a good shop and sell good weed and good cannabis and good service, they're going to thrive, and other ones might not thrive, like any other free enterprise. And if there's 10 on a street, let there be 10 on a street. Let everybody try.
Here's a silly question, but if you apply for a license and you basically state that you have an operation that is, you have a legacy operation that you've been operating successfully, let's say, and you apply for an application, aren't you kind of admitting guilt doing something illegal?
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
So how do you go about
you
saying
don't.
I have experience in the industry?
You don't.
You can't.
Do you play dumb and say I have no experience in the industry?
Fortunately, because we were in on this at the very, very beginning of the regulations, Prop 64 did allow those who were operating as collectives and which was the quasi-legal back before 64, collectives and cooperatives, they were actually able to use that as an entree into the new market. But the collective defense and cooperative defense ended, I think, 1/7/19, because the regs went into effect in 18. There was 1 year that it phased out all those who used to be in the legacy market.
Right, they had a year to
so now it's like, no, now you got to shut down and, like everybody else, go open up a shop somewhere where you can get one.
Now, would you actually deny ever having had an illegal grow or a legacy grow?
Absolutely.
You would deny it completely and say, I have zero experience in this. I would like to get into this new market. What is it called? Cannabis? Is that how you say it? Like, you just have to go in and pretend
you got to have property in a zoned area.
But
that's really all that matters.
Most of the applications don't have that. Then some of the newer ones are asking, do you have another one? Okay. That's different. That's different. And because it's big business now, when you get up in front of a city council, there's different ways that cities have applications. One is application, file it, they look at it, okay, you're good. Some of them, you file it and you're up against 100 other people, and which one's better weighted. And then they have a lottery system where you pull out balls. And then they have what the other one
like
is.
It's literally ping pong balls? You're kidding me about that?
No, literally.
Legitimately?
The lottery, yeah.
Oh, that seems legit.
25 grand a ball.
Yeah.
You got to have some big balls.
And you don't get that money back when your number don't come out.
No. When you say lottery system, you're legitimately number 47.
After
really?
you've paid X how much, God knows how much, to just get in the lottery,
you're relying on
do the application and all that.
And then the way the cities limit the amount of cannabis businesses, such as storefronts, it's like, so you have 3 that are next to each other. You have 3, I used to
liquor stores.
Liquor stores.
Corner.
And they're in neighborhoods. They're all over the place, and that's okay. I mean, it should just open up to
everywhere.
It shouldn't be that difficult to get one.
Should be one on every corner, like the Starbucks.
Or 10.
Now, where are some of the more lenient territories in California, and where are some of the most difficult territories in California?
We really don't comment on that because every city's different. I mean, we still have quite a few cities, even though it's only a third of the cities. It's when clients come in and say, I want to get licensed to get a store, grow, cultivation, manufacturing, and they usually have an area or where they live, or they want to look at certain cities. We go look up the city. Is that one up and running? Yes, this is how it works. That doesn't look like I've consulted people recently with some of the newer cities coming up saying, I don't recommend you putting up 50, 60 grand, and then you're up against, to put in the best package possible to get the most points, you need to spend 50, 60, 70 grand. And they're only allowing 5 of these licenses in that city. And there's going to be 25, 50 applications.
Is it public information which cities have available slots?
It's yes. It is. Available slots part is
Right.
it's public record. We actually have a what we call a green list for clients, and we tell clients that come in, you can look this stuff up on the internet. It's
Well, some of it you can't.
Yes,
Some of it
you have to call.
got to call. So, like, we have staff that's calling 482 cities, because we're constantly keeping track of who's coming next, what's happening, so we can let our clients know. Because if you're looking to get into this and you want to go into a city that's doing it, you're going to get hosed on the property. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe sometimes even 10 times what it's worth once it's in the green zone. So we're helping clients figure out, okay, this city's going to be coming next. They're making moves within the city council. They're doing this, they're doing that. It's indicating that they're going to move that way. So our clients will go grab a piece of property, lease it, roll the dice, because you still never know what's going to happen. But there are areas in California where you can get piece of dirt for $500-600 a month. And we have clients who believe, I'm going to do that and I'll wait a year. I'll wait 2 years, because it's eventually all of California. You got to assume they're going to see.
They're starting. The domino effect is finally starting, but it's still slow. Yeah.
And are we seeing revenue, like, once a city kind of opens up and they say, okay, we're going to allow this many, legal weed shops. Are we seeing cannabis shops? Are we seeing a lot of revenue kind of pouring into those cities? I mean, is it something that other cities would essentially learn from after seeing?
You would think. We really don't look at those numbers, to be honest, the tax revenue. But I would think
the state's doing all right.
The other cities are going to see, and it is happening, slower than we would wish. They're going to see that the sky isn't falling.
Making money.
There's no crime. The crime actually is reduced in areas of legal storefronts.
Why is that?
Because of
security.
The security involved. And the precautions and the security plans that you have to have when you have those type of shops. It's just, no loitering. There's, they got guys inside, outside of the legal stores, and
cameras
it just
everywhere.
doesn't, it really reduces the crime. And I've read some articles where it actually increases property values.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the city still, there's just too many old fucks on these, on these city council who just don't want to do it yet.
Now, I mean, guys, you were smoking in the 60s, you were smoking in the 70s, don't lie. Like, why is there even that stigma on it when, really, the Willie Nelsons of the age, they're straight out of the 60s.
The stigma is lessening, but it's definitely still there.
So
You're a stoner.
Who's still getting rated? If I'm a licensed illegal grows. So a licensed shop, can they get rated? Is there any chance that
the licensed shop wouldn't most likely get rated unless they're really doing something bad.
Well, but they're getting ratted on too by the licensed shops. Some of these places.
No. We're talking about licensed shops.
Licensed shops getting rated?
Right. Most likely, what's going to happen, unless they're really doing something out the back door.
Right.
They're going to get a visit by the Bureau of Cannabis Control agents. They're going to come in, spot check. They may do an audit of their books. We represent clients as compliance officers, and they'll get an email. We want all your records for this last week and a half. You got to have a printout, and there's software for all this. When it was sold, what was sold, how much it was sold. If it's a medical patient with their medical card, and all that's in the computer. But the illegal shops, they're getting rated left and right.
What about a legal shop that's carrying legacy market product?
Then they're going to get in trouble if they get audited.
Okay.
They're going to get in real trouble if they're not getting their product through a licensed distributor or manufacturer or cultivator. They're going to get in trouble if they get caught. Like, they could lose their license, pay up to $30,000 a day in fines. Not good.
So what are the rules around a personal grow? What are the rules around a personal grow? Like, if you did want to grow your medicine in your own backyard, what are the laws around that?
Well, if you're a patient, it's different than if you don't have a medical rep.
So if you're 21 and older, you can have 6 plants per household. So even if you have 3 adults living there, doesn't mean you can have 18 plants. 6 per household. Now, with the physician's recommendation, you are allowed to grow what you medically need. Period. There's no number. Now, the guidelines that came out over time were the 6 mature, 12 immature. But when you look at Prop 215, which controls all that, it's as much as you medically need. And what that means is if If you have a grow that has 60 plants, let's say 99 plants, because
Don't
people
use
like
a 99 plant rec. It's a ripoff.
Yes. Doctors made that up here.
Wait, elaborate on that. What is a 99 plant rec?
Okay, so you have a physician's recommendation that Prop 215 in 1996 came out, and it's still good law. It never went anywhere. It's all good in California, and it gave patients their rights to possess, consume, and grow their own cannabis. So what you medically need, you have to be able to prove that. So when these licenses, these physician's recommendations came out, doctors went, oh, I'm going to give this to you. And, oh, I'm going to put this expiration date on it.
Which is even worse.
Because it never expires. The law is, Prop 215, it doesn't expire. But if that's the case, then you can't go back another next year and pay again to these doctors. So they put that on there. So, and then it became commonplace, and then cops see it, and they, I'm busting you because.
But how is that upholdable in court if that's not the law?
That's how we get it dismissed.
Okay.
Because
and that's common?
Oh, yeah. What are you talking? Yeah, the doctors want you to come back every year and pay.
Wow.
So then a doctor said, well, I'm going to say you can have 99 plants, but you're going to pay me $350 for this one
instead of $49.95.
Right.
And then so people do that, and then they come to us. I got rated. I had 150. I had 99 plants. Doctor said I could have this. I said, okay, well, let's talk about your medical needs. What's your problems? What's your illnesses?
None.
Nothing. Okay, you're fucked. That's not what this ain't helping you at all, because we have to prove your medical need. And how you do that is, first of all, your medical history, arthritis, epilepsy, whatever.
Bottom line is there's no 99 plant rec. I mean, doctors do it. Don't buy into it.
Ever.
Get a regular recommendation. Grow what you need.
What you need.
Not to sell or resell.
And the way you defend
Otherwise,
yourself.
you'll be coming to us later to defend you, and we'll tell you how fucked you are.
No, they still might come to us to defend them, because they still might get raided because they have 150 plants or whatever they have, and the neighbor next door started an electrical fire and it bled into their yard, and we get this all the time, and then they get busted and they come to us. And then let's say we have somebody who's a cannabis patient, legitimate, and got cancer or all sorts of issues that people have, and they need all these plants to get through the year. So if they have 150 plants and they get busted, we have to get their doctor, get their records, get a declaration from the doctor that says needs cannabis instead of opiates for this, this, and that, which are going to cause this and the other thing, and needs cannabis, needs this much. Then we bring in a cannabis expert who says, yeah, those 150 plants, after the yield comes, what's left, and then this guy breaks it down and makes teas and rubs and creams and joints and does all different things with it. And then it lasts them 9 months.
I was going to say, who's to say how much cannabis you need for your ailment?
The cannabis expert, doctors, the medical professionals who do exist. There's Dr. Uma, who's a cannabis doctor who gave, when did we meet her? 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So probably 10 years, maybe even longer, she stopped prescribing opiates. I think it's probably been about 10 years since she wrote her last and that she lost a lot of money. Insurance companies wouldn't work with her, and there's a lot of doctors out there who understand this plant, the medicine that it is, and those are the type of doctors you need to bring into court when you are having to prove these things when you're being busted.
I know we have a few more minutes left with you guys, and I wanted to get into the nitty-gritty. So when is the first time you guys smoked weed? I want to hear your experiences. Cannabis. Smoked the cannabis.
Let me say something before we get into that, because I am annoying. I get annoying with these words. I know with people sometimes, but it's important that we use the word cannabis, because when we're talking to legislatures and Congress people and these archaic thinkers who still have reefer madness at the front of their mind, when they hear all this other terminology, that's all they're going to continue to think. If you want to say it with your friends and fine. But I still even then encourage, don't do that, because it's going to be harder. You're going to slip up. I've had it out with doctors and lawyers and scientists who I respect so much. And I was at wherever it was, and they were talking to people who have that reefer madness on their mind, and they're trying to explain it, as they do scientifically, as medicine. And then these other words start coming out of their mouth, like, stop, you can't do that. you can't do that. And the same with
They
the word.
express them like slurs, yeah.
Right. And that started long ago to create the negative stigma. And the word like recreational, when you put recreational in front of use for cannabis, kids go to the rec center.
Right.
Recreational gains, kids. And that's a further jab at let's make, where's the recreational shot of vodka that I have to have,
Right.
or my recreational beer. It doesn't exist.
You're right. It makes
So
it
that's
sound
why
like a
when
playground.
I hear those words, I'm now cannabis or
Guess
adult
who did the
use.
first smoke?
So who me? Because of you.
Answer her question.
No, you're absolutely right. You know what?
That's what she asked.
I'm gonna make damn sure, because you are absolutely right. If I speak to so many people in my life,
Well, you've got an audience.
That's right, and they'll say things like
Cannabis.
"Oh, what are you smoking? Weed?" Things like that. And I was like, "Well, I mean,
Right.
yeah, but you don't have to say it that way."
So the first time I used cannabis,
Yes, sir.
I was in my big brother's room. I snuck in. Nobody was there. And I was going through, he had, I was 14, I think. And he had a wooden box. And I opened it, and there was a plastic tube circular thing in it, and some green leafy stuff. And as I was looking through it, of course, my mom and dad, big brother, walk in. What are you doing? I was just looking. It smelled. My dad goes, "You want to try that? Because if you're gonna try that, you're
Go, Dad.
gonna try it here with your brother. Don't do it anywhere else." And so he told me he had a bubble maker.
No. That was at my 18th birthday party.
Oh.
Someone got me a bong for my birthday. And I opened it up, and here's a bong in front of everybody.
That's right.
And my brother asked, what was that? We said it was a bubble maker. So now fast forward to him getting caught. Here's the bubble maker. Take a couple hits, fuck.
That's amazing.
And I took a couple
I'm gonna
hits.
adopt that, and from now on, I'm gonna call it a bubble maker. That's amazing.
And me, God, I can't even remember what age I was. I have got it. Oh my God. I think it was probably around 15. Oh no, it was 15 or 16.
AZA?
And now, better than that, at a Jewish summer camp.
Komarov?
Komarov.
Komarov. Camp Komarov.
Some guy had some weed.
cannabis.
Yeah, back then it was weed.
Cannabis.
We walked up the side of the hill. This is so funny, and it was overcast. It was like all foggy. So we went. We didn't. Usually we'd go up the hill like really far.
That's like Big Bear, right?
Yeah, and Big Bear.
Up in Big Bear.
We'd go up the hill fairly far, and we'd smoke, and we'd be good. This one day we did it. We walked up. It was all foggy, so we only walked up a fraction of how high we were going above the camp, and we lit a joint, smoked it. And then we came back down, and we were so busted. It smelled up the entire camp because we didn't go far enough away, and the fog just kept it all in. And one guy took the hit for it. One guy, I think that was Richard Walpow.
Is it because you guys all pointed at him and said Richard Walpow did it?
No, he was the bad boy of the bunch. He was actually the bad boy of the bunch. We were all goody two shoes.
And none of you fessed up to it. They were just like, "It's got to be you," and you're like, "There's all him. I had nothing to do with it."
Shit, man,
Yep.
I'm gonna be fucked. But
Shut the fuck up.
And then that was it. And I didn't realize it, but I was shutting the fuck up. Don't rat on yourself.
So how did you guys feel? Were you guys like on it immediately? Did you immediately love it, or did it take a while?
No, I
for you
don't
guys
think I've
to
ever
get into
stopped
it?
smoking since then.
Really? I'm high right now. I've been high ever since they
All
said.
day. I smoked before I came in here.
Yep. It's.
I smoked this morning. Then I took a break from work and smoked. And then I went outside and had another couple tokes. So yeah, we smoke all day.
Well, speaking
And I smoke more than him.
Speaking of smoking today, what are you smoking on right now?
Right now, I'm actually smoking on this Dime Pina Colada.
Dime
Vape.
Pina Colada.
Yeah.
I've heard of this. Dime Industries, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good job.
Very
Big
smooth.
shout out to Janae.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Good product. But when we're smoking joints in flower, it is West Coast Cure. And I prefer the hardcore OG. That's the original. That's just the best for me.
What's your favorite way to smoke?
Me, I probably dab. I actually do have a vape dabber actually. Also.
You have
This
all
is-
the things.
this is a
He has this
thing.
magical bag, you guys. You can't
Oh,
see it
and
from
this,
here,
you know,
but he has this magical bag of like.
Well, that's
Can
just
we
what my
just take
nephew
out
gave
all of
me
your
this.
things
know.
right now?
This is
Can
a
you
mini,
show all
this is
your
a
magic?
mini messenger from West Coast Cure. And that's my son's clothing and apparel bag and handbags and.
And it's my cannabis bag. So
You probably can't see from here, but
I
it
have
literally is
my
like 6
inhaler
hands.
for cannabis, my vape for dime. My wax vape. Oh, and this. Oh, see,
Good
I
God.
brought this. I wasn't sure what kind of studio, because
Holy
I like to smoke joints, and
I
then
just got
and then we just have a little. I got a little joint in there, so I'm always ready to go.
Now, are these
in
for
all
different use
ways.
cases? You use these in different situations?
Well, yes, this I use at night in bed when I'm next to my wife because she hates the smell.
And what brand is this we're using?
I have no idea. I saw it. I saw it at the wherever I was. It's called Infused.
And I've never in my life
And it was
seen
at
an inhaler.
I was at a shop. I was at a shop getting something. I went, "Hey, is that an inhaler with THC?" They said, "Yeah." They give it to me
It's amazing.
because I need something when I'm in bed. But I did find out from my wife and then I just one night I need more, and then she smelled it smelled, so I couldn't do that anymore.
Okay.
And the vape is good for studios like this, where you allow the vaping. Same with this one too. But it's wax that's already in there, and that hits. And then of course, I'll.
I see you
I'll
as an
smoke this when I
example
get
taking
home.
a hit of everything
You
you're
know?
showing me. Like, are you actually high? Does that not even affect you anymore? Do you have
Yeah,
anything?
no, I get that question a lot, and I'm properly medicated for me, and if I'm gonna be high, it's usually at 1, 2, or 3 in the morning after an event. When
Okay.
we used to go to these consumption events, that High Times Cups,
Oh my
and
God.
Chalice, and all that stuff, and I would
I
dab
get dizzy
smoke.
sometimes at those events.
Oh.
I'm an old man, so keeping up with the young guys, but still.
I spoke with everybody. You wanted to smoke
And it's just
with
constant
me.
trying products.
Constant,
Yeah.
constant. And then it'd be like 1, 2 in the morning, and we're going to get something. We're like, oh, I'm high.
Woo!
Otherwise I'm just properly medicated. If I wasn't medicated, I'd be bouncing off the walls.
So what about your perfect situation? Like if you're actually going to sit down and get like proper high, where are you? Like are you outside? Are you inside? Are you at a social event? Are you like watching a movie?
Wow, that's a good question.
Anywhere.
Proper
wherever
high.
I'm at, But if I had my choice, if I'm home, I go in my garage. I got my spot. I got my dab rig. I'll dab. I'll smoke. I'll vape. I'll just kind of do everything. And I love edibles. I'll consume 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day of different types of edibles.
30 knocked me
teas.
I don't like edibles.
And at night I load up on more CBD to help me sleep. And
What's your favorite CBD?
Wax Brothers.
Wax Brothers.
Wax Brothers, and actually to smoke flower. We have our CBD rubs and creams. Pop Brothers at Lost CBD rubs and gummies.
That's right. You guys mentioned that. You have your own CBD
Yeah, we
line
just
right
launched
now.
that not long ago. popbrothers@lostcbd.com.
Very cool.
And let me say that we've been I guess out since 2015 in terms of what Instagram did to us and social media, and since then a lot of CBD companies have, hey, we want to put your brand on it and do a line of CBD with you. Okay, send it to us. Let's try it out. And we would try stuff. We're not
Right.
we're not putting our name on this.
Yeah.
It's okay, but we're not putting our name on it. And just recently, whatever it was, 6 months ago or whatever it was, the same thing. And we were expecting, okay, yeah, we're gonna get some more stuff and we'll try some of it and probably, it's not gonna whatever. And we both used it, the creams, the rubs, the gummies, tinctures, and we were like, this it's working.
That's
this
awesome.
Shit is good.
When you find a good CBD, it is. I found one called Regeneration CBD.
That's
good
Kyle
friend of
Turley,
mine.
isn't it?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry,
Is that
Regeneration
Kyle Turley?
CBD. That is Elsie Love.
Oh.
Yeah. She has a
November or something.
5,555 milligram CBD. That shit'll knock any pain out of the park.
Yeah, no, it's I'm a
that
believer.
one works, man. All right, what about you? What is your favorite situation? What's your favorite way to smoke, and what is your favorite situation? to smoke?
I'm a joint smoker.
Yeah,
Just that's pretty much it.
me too.
And I only smoke my son's West Coast Cure. Usually the Cosmic Cookies I like. Jet Fuel's good, and the Hardcore OG as well. They have some really good pods as well, vape pens, but I don't use the vape pens very much. At night, I do have a dab rig, and if I really want to get knocked out, I'll do a couple dabs, because I don't dab a lot anymore, and when I do a dab, it can knock me out. I can smoke a joint, all day long.
And what about situationally? Do you like having sort of sinking in the couch, or do you like being in a social situation?
All of the above. I mean, I love to go to Vegas. My wife and I go to Vegas. We sit video poker. I'll go upstairs, take a couple good hits or rips, and come down.
That's a whole
come
scene right there.
down,
I like that
play
situation.
some video
Yeah.
poker. I'm chilling, or sitting out in the backyard at night in the jacuzzi, smoking a joint, and it's all good. And it's usually when I'm at a party or something is when I really get high. When you use that word high, because I've smoked. We did a shoot. We're doing a documentary. And we were on set for hours, and I didn't realize how many joints I smoked.
And that was CBD. Well, it was a
that,
mixture.
that was another time.
Oh,
That was the other time for the Netflix thing, where I smoked CBD all day because I couldn't do that, and because I ran out of weed. Cannabis. I'm 60 years old, man.
It's okay, I'm going to keep reminding you.
You keep reminding me, but I think weed should be synonymous with a good thing.
It should.
It really should be.
It should, but we got to go forward.
No,
before
he's
we go
right.
back.
He's right, because when you say weed, you think of reefer madness. But I think that term should be normalized as well.
Working on it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny at this point, right? Reefer madness.
Right.
I
No,
mean, if
it
anything,
is.
it's comical.
To
To
us.
me, anyway.
But
Yeah.
there's so many people who still
But
believe
it's alive and well and living in the White House. Read my article in NUGL Magazine.
So that's it. I like my old school joints.
Man, I am so happy you guys took the time to come here today. I'm absolutely thrilled at your presence. You guys have done so much for the industry. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Hold on, you don't get off that
Man.
easy.
Oh no, he's gonna do it.
That's right.
You're on
Oh, yeah.
a special segment of the Script Challenge. The Script Challenge goes on every Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time on our Instagram Live, pot_brothers_at_law, noon Pacific Standard Time. I'm the cop, and I run you through it, and you get one shot. If you win on the Script Challenge, you could win potentially a $100 cash prize from Top Tree, and then we have like 15 other sponsors with great gifts and things that we give out to those who win. So, are you ready for the Script Challenge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm the cop.
Yes,
I
sir.
pull you over, and I say, well, what do you use to dye your hair?
I'm not talking about my day.
Nah, wrong, you lose.
No, that was it. You just said it. You told me. No, you said why did you pull me over? Why did you pull me over? I'm not talking about my day.
Hold on, relax. But see, this is good.
I thought I lost. I didn't
No,
know
that's
that.
it's a trick question.
Okay,
It
good.
is a trick question because some cops will ask you anything under the sun.
Nice
to
hat
get
you got there. Where'd you get those? They
comfortable
want to get you into a
talking.
conversation.
Just, I got this
You don't
here.
want to conversate with them.
No conversations allowed. Just 25 words in order because
Yes, sir.
there's a reason. Okay, so I'm a cop. I pull you over. I say, why are you here in this area?
Why did you pull me over?
You were speeding. Why were you going so fast?
I'm not talking about my day.
I don't want to know about your day. I want to know what it smells. Why does it smell in here?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're being detained.
I
Now
plead-
tell me where the smell is.
I plead the fifth.
Invoke the fifth.
I invoke the fifth.
And then what do you do?
I shut the fuck up.
Okay, good
Shut
job.
the fuck up.
You shut
Winner.
the fuck up.
And that's how
You
we
guys, I won.
hammer it home week after week so people remember.
Ooh, my palms started sweating. I was like, oh my god. Here we go.
People actually, they get nervous and they screw up.
So as long as you,
So I did good.
the biggest thing to remember, and we could do a whole other show on the breakdown of what the script is and why you actually say these lines. But the worst case is, I'm not discussing my day, and you shut the fuck up.
even if you forget
Forget
everything
everything else.
just shut the fuck up.
All right,
don't
one-
discuss
One
your
time
day.
on three.
And be polite.
One time on three, shut the fuck up. 1, 2, 3.
Shut the fuck up when cops ask questions.
Thank you guys so much for being here, guys. You are watching The Green Rush. I'm your host, Jessica Serrano. These are the Wasserman brothers. Thank you so much, and tune in next time for The Green Rush. Over and out, fellas.